Public hearing. On behalf of the members of the Executive Appointment and Government Investigation, I would like to welcome Governor Apateng and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola's representative, Mr. John Paul Regis, along with Ms. Amishai and Ms. Camacho, the appointee, Mr. Raymond M. Munya, elected officials, dignitaries, and members of the general public. Before we proceed forward with this public hearing, let me first introduce the members of this standing committee. To my right side of the aisle is the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Donald Manglonia from the island of Rhoda. And next to him is the vice chairman of this standing committee, Senator Juaf Snyder from the island of Tinian. And next to him is Senator Manny Castro from the island of Saipan. And to my left side of the aisle is the vice president of the Senate, Senator Corina Magofnia from the island of Saipan. And I'm the chairman of this standing committee, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz from the island of Tinian. I would also like to announce a couple of things in the interest of informational purposes regarding some house rules, or rather regarding code of conduct during this public hearing. Today, the members of this standing committee are conducting a public hearing on the appointment of Mr. Raymond M. Munya to serve as a member of the Civil Service Commission to represent the 3rd Senatorial District, Saipan. The public will be invited to make comments as to whether you support the appointee before us this morning. We value your input. However, any comments beyond the fact of the appointee or comments that are not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At the same time, please observe minimal noises in disrupting this hearing process, and please turn your electronic to a silent mode. Thank you. Let us now begin. This public hearing is now in session. Today is March 12, 2026, at approximately 9:56 in the morning here at the Senate Chamber, Capitol Hill, Saipan. This is a public hearing regarding the appointment of Mr. Raymond M. Munya by Governor David M. Apateng and Lieutenant Governor Dennis C. Mendiola to serve as a member of the Civil Service Commission to represent the 3rd Senatorial District. Devin will be assisting us on this hearing process. Ms. Antoinette Vilgomus will be our legal counsel. Mr. Ben Terlai will be our Sergeant at Arms. And we have here IT, Mr. Jonathan Diaz, and covering the social media is Mr. Elja Castro, and they will all serve accordingly for this public hearing. Mr. Macaranas, please call the roll.
Senator Ronnie M. Calvo. Present. Senator Manny Gregory T. Castro.
Stiga.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz.
Here.
Senator Jude U. Hofschneider. Senator Corina L. Magofnia.
Present.
Senator Donald M. Manglonia.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, all members of the Senate EAGI committee are present.
Thank you, and my apology, Senator Calvo. Senator Calvo is also a member of this committee from the 3rd Senatorial District, the island of Rhoda. At this time, do I hear from the members to adopt our agenda? There's a motion for the adoption of today's public hearing agenda and was seconded. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, I would like to ask Sergeant Terlai to please escort the governor's rep and the appointee into the chamber. And sir, before you do the introduction of the governor's appointee, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if before I start, could I inform you if I could be excused because we're having a joint committee meeting for the nomination as well for Oscar Kirugua and James Cyrok at the House Chamber. Could I be excused after I make my introduction?
That's not a problem.
Okay,
It's
thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Hofadais and Tiro, Honorable Chairman Francisco Q. Cruz, Honorable Vice Chair Jude U. Hofschneider, and Honorable Senate members of the Executive Appointments and Government Investigations Committee. For record purposes, my name is John Paul B. Regis, Special Assistant for Administration under the Office of the Governor. On behalf of the Honorable Governor David M. Apateng and the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Dennis James C. Mendiola, I thank you for conducting this public hearing out of your busy schedule and the opportunity to appear before you today. I am pleased to introduce Mr. Raymond M. Muña, the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's nominee for his reappointment to the Civil Service Commission representing the 3rd Senatorial District. I am hopeful that all required documents have been submitted for review, which details Mr. Muña's educational background and professional experiences. Mr. Muña is an accomplished professional with over 15 years of leadership experiences across the Sinomai's educational, historical, and institutional sectors. Holding a Master's of Arts in International Education and a Bachelor's of Arts in History, he brings a deep knowledge on academic and ethical oversight required for this critical role. Having served 2 consecutive terms, Mr. Muña offers an unparalleled depth of wisdom. His reappointment ensures the continuity, transparency, and administrative precision that the people of the Sinomai both expect and deserve. He remains a vital steward of this merit system, dedicated to upholding the highest standard of excellence within our government. With this in mind, Governor Apateng and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola placed their complete trust and confidence in Mr. Muña to continue serving as a member of the Civil Service Commission, and I am sure he is prepared to address your concerns and present his preliminary plans for the future. We respectfully seek your favorable consideration of his nomination. Thank you, Jesus Mosi Zangiliso, for the opportunity to introduce him to this august body, Mr. Chairman and members.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, for that well-said testimony. And before I recognize Mr. Muña, I would like to ask you, sir, to please stand and raise your right hand so our staff can administer the oath. Thank you.
Raymond M. Muña, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarrans. And Mr. Muña, I know that you have complied with the required documents by this committee. You have submitted all them. But if you have anything else that you wish to share this morning, you have the floor. But before you start, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz, members of this extinguished body. My name is Raymond M. Muña. I am seeking your confirmation in my confirmation of the Civil Service Commission, right? So before I begin with the why, right, it honestly, whenever I step foot into this building, I feel happy. I feel content because this place is home for me. The reason why I bring that up, and whenever it's actually in any confirmation hearing that involves me, whenever I bring that up, for those who don't know, this is the house that my grandfather built, the late, great Suspi Mafnas, a formidable politician, a formidable senator, and a formidable congressman. So, speaking here, right, of course, he passed away many years ago. Speaking here, I feel his presence, and I really do feel he's right there next to you, Senator Cruz, and he's asking me, son, are you ready for this commitment? And my answer is, yes, sir. Yes, I am. I am ready, and the reason why I ask for your support is really because right now more than ever, I really do feel that the Civil Service Commission, the Director of Personnel, and members of the community of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands they need me, right? I don't mean to sound arrogant about it, but it's really because of my passion. My passion is really to serve the community of the CNMI, and the fact that that act is priceless, it feels good. It feels good to serve the people now more than ever, because our economy is really going down at the moment, and with the experience that I've gained serving in this awesome board, in this awesome commission, it really taught me how to, I guess, face challenges, right? If the economy is good, and I've dealt with that, when the economy was good, it was easy to make decisions because there's money coming in. Now with the economy being bad, a lot of important decisions need to be made that could tremendously, in a positive or negative way, it will impact our government employees. So I want to stick through that. I want to help our community, and really, right, what I bring to this table is my background in education. So what do I love to do in my professional capacity? I'm an educator. I love being in the classroom, and I love to help my students learn, right? So that kind of mindset, that kind of experience in being in the classroom, I see it translated here in this distinguished body with the Civil Service Commission, because ultimately, with the support of the chairman, and while I was the former chairperson, I was really pushing for an educated workforce. 2029 is tomorrow, and we need all hands on deck to address that very significant issue on hand. So with that said, my passion is really to serve our community from that standpoint. Also to create new policies and procedures in place to help our employees, right? Now with you guys, the senators present here, I know it's very difficult to create policies that will benefit the CNMI. And you're gonna have people who are for it or against it. But really what I learned from being in, not as a politician, but being in this capacity, is finding the absolute middle ground to, again, help the CNMI. So I guess with that said, I yield for now, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Munya. And before I recognize the members of the general public in the gallery that are here to deliver testimony, first I would like to recognize or acknowledge those that are invited to participate. The chairperson of the Civil Service Commission, Mr. Joseph Patrick Fitiel. Is he here? You can come forward, sir. And before you proceed with your testimony, state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Patrick Fitiel. And I want to say good morning to all, Senate President, the entire Senate body, and distinguished guests in attendance. This morning, I want to put in a few short words for Mr. Raymond Munya as he aims to serve another term as a commissioner for the CNMI Civil Service Commission. Ray has always been a proactive member in the commission, serving as the board chair more than once. He has always stayed up to date with issues from all sides of the room, constantly looking for ways to tackle different issues at hand. Very astute and a very highly aware individual, Ray has always displayed the ability to come up with solutions on short notice and when it's crunch time. Ray is also a true networker, as you all may know. He is able to work with and efficiently communicate with anyone and everyone, from political leaders to company executives. Mr. Munya is always able to find a great seat in any conversation, which is an asset when serving as a commissioner for the Civil Service Commission. Mr. Munya is probably the only person I know that can have a fruitful debate with somebody and then sell them a whole barbecue brisket in the same time period. But jokes aside, when I say Ray is proactive, it is really an understatement. He is constantly communicating with people left and right and is extremely passionate in conveying his messages and beliefs. Commissioner Munya has also displayed his work ethic off the clock, and you can ask me, you can ask members of the Civil Service Commission and his colleagues, no matter what time of the day, Ray will make sure you are aware of a situation that you need to be aware of. And a lot of this comes out of his genuine care and passion for serving the CNMI. Members of the Senate, I am here with a few short words to ask for your confidence and support in confirming Mr. Ray Munya today to continue his mission and gift of effectively serving the people of the CNMI, and in this case, the civil servants of the Marianas. Thank you for your time. God bless, and have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Fitio. Any other members of the commission that is here?
Hello? Hello? Is that, you can hear me? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Victoria Simone Bellis. I am a commissioner for the Civil Service Commission. Again, good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and honorable members of this distinguished body. I am here today in support of the reconfirmation of Mr. Raymond Munya to the Civil Service Commission. The Civil Service Commission carries a critical responsibility. It serves as a guardian of the Commonwealth's merit-based personnel system and as a venue where employees can seek fair review of decisions affecting their careers and livelihoods. These are not small matters, and the work is far from done. It requires commissioners with diligence, fairness, and a deep respect for public service. I think in his own testimony and through my own experience, I believe Mr. Munya embodies many, if not all, those qualities. He has now served 2 consecutive terms on the commission, including as chairman, and in government where turnover can often disrupt continuity and institutional knowledge, that experience truly matters. His steady leadership has helped provide consistency in the commission's work and in the careful deliberation of matters that directly affect our civil servants. During his tenure, Mr. Munya has demonstrated utmost commitment. He has supported efforts to strengthen and modernize the policies that govern our workforce, while also advocating for the resources necessary for the Commission to properly carry out its duties. Just as importantly, he has been a voice for the continued professional growth of our civil servants, including support for opportunities such as educational leave, intertwining his professional experience with this experience, allowing employees to advance their skills and better serve the people of our Commonwealth. Lastly, what I have always respected about Mr. Munya is the passion he brings to the work. He approaches the responsibilities of the Commission with sincerity and conviction, and that energy often encourages deeper discussion and careful consideration among the members. While I may not always agree with him on every issue, I am grateful for the perspective he brings and for the integrity in which he serves. The effectiveness of our government ultimately relies on the integrity of our civil service. For these reasons, I believe Mr. Munya's continued service would help preserve the stability and integrity of the system that so many of our public servants rely upon, and I humbly ask that this esteemed body reconfirm Mr. Raymond Munya to the Civil Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bellas. And if there's no other civil service members that is here, at this time I'd like to open the floor for public comment. And again, I would like to remind anyone that wishes to present testimony, whether you're in favor or not, you're free to come forward. But again, any comments that is not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At this time, public comment is now open.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity to share, to testify in this confirmation hearing. I appear before you today to express my strong support for the confirmation of Mr. Raymond M. Munya to serve another 6-year term as a member of the Civil Service Commission. Mr. Munya currently serves as the chair of the Personal Management Subcommittee, PMSC, of the Civil Service Commission, and in the past 8 years as a member, he has demonstrated exceptional leadership, integrity, and commitment to public service. Mr. Munya is currently the most senior member of the commission. He was first appointed in 2018 by former Governor Ralph Torres to serve a 2-year term. In 2020, he was reappointed by late Governor Arno Palacios, and most recently in January 2026, he was reappointed by Governor David Apatang to serve another 6-year term. These successive appointments by different administrations reflect the high level of confidence placed in Mr. Munya's leadership, judgment, and dedication to the mission of the Civil Service Commission. The primary purpose of the Civil Service Commission is to protect and uphold a fair, nonpartisan, and independent merit-based public service system for the CNMI government. During the period 2018 to 2020, the Commission experienced one of its most challenging periods, which tested the character, independence, and integrity of its members. Throughout that difficult time, Commissioner Munya demonstrated unwavering commitment to the principles of merit, fairness, and the rule of law. He stood firmly by his oath of office and upheld the independence of the Commission in the best interest of the civil service system and the employees. Commissioner Munya also has been a strong advocate for the workforce development in the CNMI government. I personally witnessed this commitment when I served as the acting director of personnel in 2020. At that time, Mr. Munya directed me to develop a program that would allow government employees greater access to higher education and skills training opportunities. This initiative ultimately led to the adoption of the higher education leave provision in the civil service regulations. These policies allows eligible government employees to receive up to 20 hours of paid leave per week to pursue academic degrees at NMC or hands-on vocational certification at NMTI. Subject to specific requirements and approval by the Director of Personnel. This program reflects Chairman Munya's long vision and of building a more educated, skilled, and professional government workforce. In December 2023, I was appointed the Director of Personnel by unanimous vote of the Civil Service Commission. At that time, Commissioner Munya was serving as the chairman, and he played an instrumental role in supporting my appointment. Having worked closely under his leadership, I can personally attest to his professionalism, fairness, and leadership style. Chairman Munya leads by example. He provides guidance and support, delegates responsibility appropriately, encourages professional growth, and places trust in me to perform my duties without micromanaging. Mr. Munya and the honorable members, Mr. Chairman and our honorable members, Mr. Munya has consistently demonstrated integrity, independence, and a deep commitment to the principle of a merit-based public service. His experienced leadership and dedication to continue to be valuable assets to the Civil Service Commission and to the CNMI government workforce. For these reasons, I respectfully ask for your support in confirming Mr. Munya to continue serving as a member of the Civil Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can you please state your name for the record?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My name is Joseph Pangilinan, and I'm the Director of Personnel.
Sususmasi, Mr. Pangilinan.
Thank you.
I see that there's no one else in the gallery. This time I close the floor for public comment. And I would like to ask Mr. Devin McCarnes to acknowledge letters that are submitted.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Mr. Munya, members of the general public, in addition to the oral testimonies received today on the executive appointment of Mr. Raymond M. Munya to serve as a member of the Civil Service Commission, please be advised of one written testimony in support to the nominee's appointment from Charlotte Cepeda, the Dean of Student Support Services of the Northern Marianas College. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Macoronas. And at this time, I'd like to recognize the members of the standing committee to raise question or concern in regards to Mr. Muña's reappointment. At this time, I'd like to recognize the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Corina Magofnia.
Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Muña. Good to see you again. And good morning to the individuals who are here in support of your renomination. So I guess congratulations on your renomination, and thank you for accepting the additional responsibilities on top of everything that you are a member of. We truly appreciate your time and your support in helping our communities. I guess you were are you still the chair for the commission, or are you?
So, good question, Senator Karina. I am not the chair.
Okay.
So, I was last chair in November, first week of November 2025. So
Okay.
now it's Mr. Joseph Patrick or Mr. Patrick Fittel.
Okay.
He's the current chairperson. Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that because I'm looking at the citizen-centric report for FY25 and I see that you were the chair, so I wanted to clarify that. I see that on the citizen-centric report, there were two critical challenges that the commission faces, and that's the lack of funding to secure a hearing officer and an independent legal counsel. Is that still the case today?
Yes. So right now, of course, there's other areas of concern, right? But at the moment, the two most critical needs of the Civil Service Commission really is the hiring of or funding for a hearing officer, an administrative hearing officer, and a legal counsel. So yes, to concur your statement, that is correct.
Okay, so the commission just didn't receive any funding for these two critical positions?
That is correct.
Okay. And what would you say, can you throw out a ballpark figure of what you're looking for the hearing officer and then the legal counsel?
So I know that we will be submitting our budget. We have a meeting next week, a special Civil Service Commission meeting that addresses your question.
Okay.
So the actual figure, I don't have that. I have to look in my phone for that actual.
Like, is there a salary range that the commission is, will be seeking so that we can keep that in mind when we come to budget hearings?
When we approve the budget, or
Okay.
our budget, then I would say yes. I mean, you would have that actual figure on hand, but right off the bat, maybe 80,000 each.
Okay. And I'm asking because I know that Department of Labor as well as Department of Commerce are also faced with the same challenges. Not so much with the funding, but the compensation range. In speaking with the Secretary of Labor, she has shared with me that although they tried to increase the offer, that it was still not as what's the
Enticing.
word? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're wondering if they're facing that type of challenge, then is that something that maybe the commission might consider also raising the salary to be able to be competitive?
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess there's just not as many professionals in that particular area as a hearing officer. So we should probably have a chat with NMC to see how they can provide programs to fill that gap, right? Create programs, something like that, right? Because as a Commonwealth, we need to start identifying what our needs are when it comes to workforce, so that things like this are not falling through the crack, or the 25 cases that are listed active on the citizen-centric report are not delayed if we don't need to. And so if we are experiencing shortages in certain professional areas, then maybe that's something that we need to work together with our educational institution to try and create programs so that we can start building the capacity in those areas. So just a thought. But on the citizen-centric report, I see that there are 25 active appeal cases. Is that still the case?
As of now, we have 21 active.
Okay.
21 active cases. Within this fiscal year, we closed 6,
Great.
and there's 3 new.
Okay.
So we average about 1 active case a month.
Okay.
And maybe just to clarify your statement, Senator Karina. So yes, the active cases are a lot,
Yes.
right? And it really is and right now with the current leadership of the new chairperson, we're in the process of hearing these cases because it is within our jurisdiction to hear these cases. Why then maybe the question is like, why the need of a hearing officer, right?
Mhm.
And the answer to that is really, it's the most bipartisan, nonpartisan approach when hearing a case. You have a hearing officer making a determination. It goes through all these channels, and the ultimate decision comes from the Civil Service Commission. So really, that's the long answer to the need of a hearing officer,
Sure.
to make sure that all the cases have been heard properly and have been decided on properly.
Great. Thank you for that clarification. I think it is important to clarify that, because for many who may not understand the process, we want to try and minimize any appearance of, unfairness, right? And so, to your point, a dedicated hearing officer would be best to review the cases and then make the recommendations based on his or her findings to the commission, so that the commission can deliberate and make a decision. So I understand the need for it, and it is important that we try and find the resources to provide the commission with that position. I do see, according to the citizen-centric report, 15 of those, the 25 were over 7 years or older, and two of those are legacy cases that are well beyond 7 years. Are those 2 legacy cases still within that 15 active cases?
That's accurate at the moment. Now it's no longer 7 years. We're approaching year 8.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm not asking for explicit or detailed information, but may I just ask what's pending on this case, or why is it taking so long?
So the reason why it's taking long is because we've actually had we had a hearing officer, right? And so the contract had expired, and it created this delay. But with that hearing officer actually helped us close cases. I don't know the exact number, but so after that delay, after the contract expired of that particular hearing officer, there was that delay, and that delay for hearing these other active cases. And as a result, with the decision from the Civil Service Commission, we decided, you know what, let's just hear these cases. And maybe for the record, right, none of us have any kind of legal background, so we're doing our best to
Sure.
hear these cases. So it's really that the inaccuracy, what is it? Basically, like temporarily having a hearing officer, and then services stop because lack of funding. Ultimately, if there was, like with any department, if there was additional funding, then services would continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you for your answer. And I asked this question just because I'm not sure if there's a statute of limitation to these cases, and I would hate for these individuals who have waited that long to see no results come out of their cases. So do you know if there there's a statute of limitation?
I
to-
believe, thank you for that question, Senator. I believe there are no statute of limitations. So, flashback when I first got on board 2018, there was a pending case that was 15 years old.
Wow.
And ultimately, right, the case was heard before my tenure began, and the outcome was in favor of the appellant. So the appellant received X amount of dollars from the CNMI government. So, right, of course, there's liabilities if these cases aren't heard within a timely manner, right? So that's, I mean, that story, I hope, is the answer to your question.
Okay.
There was a case that was
Okay.
15 years old before my tenure began.
Would you know if that case, were there any interest assessed to the case being that long, associated with whatever the settlement was? Because for someone to wait for 15 years, right? And if something was owed to this employee, time is money.
Yes, true. Can you just clarify with that question? What do you mean? with it?
So I guess let me just give it an example. So let's say the settlement was like 10 grand, right? For whatever the reason was. Were there any interest paid out on that 10 grand
okay.
because it took so long?
So that's a good question. I don't know if this is an interest form of payment with regards to that particular case, but the fact that it took so long, I think the ultimate outcome was a payout of almost 100 grand, so like $90,000, and then maybe that's the outcome I know. So maybe yes, right?
Okay.
The interest was inserted in
Okay.
that form of payment, right? Because it just took so long. So, but in that particular case, it was really we just had, it was calendared. I mean, it was already calendared. We heard it. And I think that the appellant at that time had resigned from that agency and completely forgot about that case. So it was us that informed them about this pending case. Decision was made, and then there was
Okay.
a payout.
Great. Thank you for the clarification.
Also, Senator, can I just make another clarifying statement? So, at the moment, I'm not in the subcommittee, but the chairperson has designated commissioners within the Civil Service Commission to hear these cases. So, we've had hearings already, and we have just within our last meeting we closed 2 pending cases.
Okay, great. So I just recall what I was going to ask. So 2 things, right? Currently, the commission doesn't have a hearing officer to be able to look at the cases, and so now the commissioners are taking on that responsibility. Are there any like formal training, perhaps, that the commission have gotten or received, or is planning to get one, so that you guys are properly, have the proper tools and resources to ensure that you guys are reviewing the cases in a fair manner and ensuring or trying to avoid any potential legal issues that may arise from the employee to raise that you guys are not equipped or to be reviewing and assessing the case and making a determination at the same time. So I'm just curious if you guys have received any proper training or will be, or looking into it.
It's a very good question, Senator. So the answer is no. We're not properly trained to hear these cases. And the reason being is because each commissioner serves a term of 6 years. And we serve at the pleasure of the sitting governor. So even if each commissioner were to be properly trained to hear cases, I believe the total amount of hours to be certified from it's called NAHO, National Association of Hearing Officers. They have a certification program, would be 120 hours of certification to earn that certificate, right? So in a hypothetical world, let's say a commissioner is trained, meets the 120, now they can hear those cases. So who knows, maybe their term might be up. The next sitting governor, has the discretion to nominate a new person.
Sure.
And they would have to begin that cycle all over again. So fortunately for us, and by stroke of luck, you have commissioners who have a strong HR background. Commissioner Bellis is an example, and then we have two other commissioners that have a strong HR background.
Sure.
So it does help. Fortunately, again, by a stroke of luck, it does help. So I hope that long story answers your question.
No. That's a great explanation, and I just bring this up, right, because ideally you want to segregate the duties and responsibilities so that there's no appearance of any unfairness, right? And also you don't want the body who's making the decision to be the one that's also reviewing the cases, and because as not human nature is, as you start to review stuff, right, you start making your own decisions based on what you're seeing, and so we want to make sure that there's that separation. Hence the need for a hearing officer. But since you guys are taking on that responsibility, I think, and as you just stated earlier, by stroke of luck, I mean, it's a good thing that you guys have commissioners who do have HR background to be able to share some of their experiences in reviewing the cases and providing, recommendations on how the commission should move forward. But ideally, it would be nice to not have the commission be the ones reviewing everything and then making a determination and decision based on their review. But since you guys are doing that, I think it would be helpful if you guys do get the proper training. Just because in instances where you don't have those commissioners with those background, right? You guys are making very important decisions that affect people's lives, and so you want to be able to at least have the proper tools to be able to give a good decision. But this is not to take away anything that the commission has been doing thus far. You guys are doing the best that you can based on the resources that you are afforded. So we thank the commission for everything that you guys are doing within your ability. The next question that I wanted to ask was whether or not the AG's office is being solicited for assistance when it comes to with the lack of a hearing officer.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
And the answer to that is there's a conflict of interest because you have agency versus agency,
I see.
and they're within the Attorney General's office. So
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Just in a conversation that I had with the Secretary of Labor the other day, she was sharing with me that, again, as I stated earlier, they were also experiencing some challenges securing a hearing officer for their department. But what they've started doing was to actually kind of subcontract legal firms, right, to take on some of the cases that they do have. And what they found out that instead of taking, let's say, an $80,000 budget allocated for dedicated for a hearing officer, when they started spreading out the cases to different law firms, that they were able to not only hear more cases and resolve them, but also they saved some money by spreading out the work and not just having it dedicated to one person. So maybe that's something that the commission can consider if we when we get to the budget hearing and we do set aside some funds for a hearing officer. If you guys are not successful in finding one, maybe perhaps that's something that you guys could do as well. So
Thank you, Senator. So yes, and also while I was a chairperson, the message from the Civil Service Commission, of course, we need almost we do need a full-time hearing officer.
okay.
And also, I really want to emphasize the need of a legal counsel. That's equally right now, most especially the last fiscal year. it's just as important as having an administrative hearing officer, having our own legal counsel.
Got it. So from what I'm hearing, then you need a full-time hearing officer, but and also a full-time legal counsel, or just part-time?
Full-time as well, honestly, because for example, within the last fiscal year, right, the projection of our economy is going down, right, and it's a surprise to all of us, right? But with the projection from OMB, also with the assistance from the Secretary of Finance and members from the Governor's office, right, they're addressing that potential shortfall,
Yes.
right, and it involves personnel. So, of course, again, we're members, we're a body of 7. And none of us have any kind of legal background, right? So we can throw in our opinion, but it's not substantiated by any kind of legal expertise. So we could, like in a closed door meeting with the commissioners, and if there's a concern with regards to personnel, we could bring up our own opinion, right. on the matter, and we just need that legal support.
Absolutely, and I completely support their request for a legal counsel to avoid, any future liabilities that the commission may face, because you guys are making very important decisions, and the fact that you guys don't have a legal representation or a hearing officer who is properly trained to conduct those types of services, you guys are taking on a potential liability.
Yes.
Should you guys make decisions that are that could be questionable, right? Because of lack of training and just the expertise, right? You guys are not attorneys in any way, and so that's why you need the guidance and services of these two positions. So I understand the challenges that you guys are faced with, and I completely support the need for it. So I look forward to the budget submission.
Yes.
For the next fiscal year, and I hope that both the House and the Senate will support the request. So that's all I have for you, Mr. Muñoz, Zusmasi, and
Thank you, Senator.
thank you, Chairman Ayu.
Thank you, Vice President. Now I would like to recognize Senator Castro.
Good morning, Mr. Ray. Nice to see you again in your grandfather's house.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you for your service, not only to the college, but the Civil Service Commission, to the general public, public employees. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. The first one deals with independence from political pressure. The civil service exists specifically to protect government employees from political interference. Can you give this committee a clear commitment that you will rule based on law and evidence, and even if that means ruling against the governor, cabinet secretary, or a powerful agency leadership?
The short answer to your question, is that your question? So the short answer to your question, Senator Costa, is of course yes, right? And I understand that, especially this specific year, this is political season. And, I guess within our culture and here in the CNMI, it's this fear of voicing out how you feel. And I just want to, to supplement, my assurance with your question, the first thing that I recommend all our employees to do is, with regards to political pressure, is inform the Office of Personnel Management. And I can assure you that, as a former chairperson and also as a current commissioner for the Civil Service Commission, we hold the Director of Personnel accountable, right? We don't micromanage. And he does have an open door policy. Inquiries have been made to the director and also to the staff of maybe specific instances, and it's been addressed. I want to say it's been addressed. However, what about those inquiries that have not been addressed? And I want to say maybe that it was never brought up to the attention of the Office of Personnel Management due to fear. So I want to assure our employees that if you are feeling any kind of pressure to make any unlawful decision, maybe against your will, inform the Office of Personnel Management of the situation. I want to make that clear. Again, we hold the Director of Personnel accountable, and we want to make sure that all our civil service government employees within the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands is protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Earlier in your statement, you did mention about backlog or delayed cases. Some employees feel that appeals before the Civil Service Commission take too long to resolve, leaving their careers and livelihoods in limbo. Do you believe the Commission's current case processing timeline is acceptable?
With the delays, to answer your question, right, I'm going to rewind a bit. With the delays in the previous fiscal years, of course, it's unexcusable or inexcusable. But right now, again, it's because there is no, we are a commission, but we have no legal background in hearing these cases. But we took it upon ourselves to hear these cases. So currently, within this fiscal year, you have cases that have been calendared, and they will be properly addressed with the current members who are hearing the cases. Now, I know maybe it's not to the satisfaction of the employee, to the possible appellant. Excuse me. However, I want to assure everyone that we're doing our very best to properly hear these active cases.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. What do you believe is the biggest weakness in the CNMI civil service system today? And if confirmed, what is the first reform you would advocate for to strengthen the integrity of the civil service system?
That's a very good question, Senator Manny. The biggest weakness for the Civil Service Commission? The biggest weakness for the Civil Service Commission at this point is really from a policymaker standpoint, to update all our current policies. We're finished with part, I believe, 1100. I forget the actual part that we're finished with, but there's part 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and some of these policies have been tremendously outdated. I mean, policies that exist from the 1990s, even when my grandfather was still alive. So I would say that's the biggest weakness for the commission, just to update with best practices, because we don't want to use a best practice from 1989 with 2026. What was the second part to your question, Senator?
I believe you answered it already.
Okay.
It was about what is the first reform you would advocate to strengthen the integrity of the civil service system?
Thank you.
And this one is just a small question. I've been hearing of some fees being assessed for application. I don't know if it's true, but a lot of agencies are starting to implement fees. Maybe they've been on the books for a while, and as part of reform, what is the trajectory for moving to digital applications instead of and correct me if I'm wrong, or is it true that OPM is charging $1 for applications for employment within the government?
The answer to that, I believe the director, right? Not $1 for an application, but $1 to make a copy. And of course, in this digital world, I believe everything should be streamlined in that process for all documentation to be done digitally, because we're way past the paper era.
And this is not picking on OPM, because all our agencies, I think, need to move in that direction. We both come from NMC, so we've been in the carbon copy era not too long ago, but we were able to save a lot of costs and improve outcomes by making this switch. So I look forward to the commissions, if confirmed, to start moving in that direction also, because our economic situation warrants that movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Castro. Now I would like to recognize Floor Leader Manglonia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Munya. I don't think I have much. I know that you've always been communicating your concerns. However, I do want to kind of go over questions relating to salary scale. Has there been any recent study in terms of what the salary schedule of current employees and where they should be in today's economy?
It's a very good question, Senator Donald. And from a policy making standpoint, at least at my level, I want to say no, because the situation, right? If there's there's no money coming in, so there's maybe not a need to do a salary schedule study. But I can't say from the Director of Personnel standpoint and to his subordinates, maybe it has been discussed. I know for a fact, sorry, let me rewind here. I know for a fact that the maybe Department of Public Safety, DPS in specifically them, like law enforcement officers, it was brought up with their salary schedule has been brought up, and it has been recommended that it needed to be updated. Actually in one meeting, but that was with the previous director, Miss Franny Salas. So right now, maybe it has been discussed from the Director of Personnel to his subordinates, but from the policy making standpoint, no.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked is because whether or not we have the funds to adopt this new pay schedule is something that it's good to look at to see how far behind we are, or what can we do to make certain positions more attractive or to retain our employees. Every budget hearing I've asked is, can these agencies operate within their current means in terms of if anybody leaves, can they still function effectively, so that, who knows, maybe we can use that vacant slot to adjust the salaries, or there's an easier justification to take any lapse of funds there to, I don't know, maybe provide a salary adjustment across the board, or in as part of the budget process, in understanding what salaries should be or where it can be, we may be able to consider an appropriation for that purpose. And oftentimes, and we see it every year, that our first responders are leaving, and there's always a need to fill in these vacancies because salaries are more competitive at our neighbors, or in the U.S. mainland. And so I'm not saying that let's do a salary schedule study so that we can implement these new rates, but more of a consideration in the event that we find room to apply these adjustments, and we can do so in that manner.
Thank you, Senator. So yeah, that's a very good point you made, and what you basically address from a broader issue, and Senator Manning actually can attest to this. It's really the brain drain happening right now in the CNMI, and the only thing, from my experience, the only reason why our people are staying is because there's no place like home. The CNMI is our home, and there's no place like home. And with this, I guess with your blessing, maybe it's an item in our agenda, right, that we could address, a salary schedule study. And if you can support that with monetary resources, that would be great. But yeah, maybe it's something to consider, because right now we're operating on a salary schedule from the 1990s. That's another outdated policy. And imagine gas prices from 1990, it was cheaper compared to now, right? So the cost of living back then, way cheaper than compared to now. So it's something worth considering. And and it's something, so I'm the chair of the Personnel Matters Subcommittee, and this is an item I think we could, address from that subcommittee level. So thank you for that.
I appreciate whatever, maybe it could be a proposal in your budget submission, what that cost would be, to conduct a study. As we've seen in the news, right? Even on Tinian right now, and even on Rhoda just earlier this week, we've already surpassed the minimum wage fuel per gallon, right? But in just considering that, I think that maybe a look into how our employees progress within the department in terms of getting to the next pay level or getting to the next position title, but within the same duties, as far as maybe even going to the extent of requiring them to take certain professional development courses, if none is being provided by OPM, but just as a way to improve their skills while also getting a higher salary, right? As we've seen in PSS, and as a former PSS employee, the only way to advance throughout the system as a teacher even is to take all these courses that are required to move on to the next level of certification. We have to take several hours of courses just to meet that next level of certification. So maybe a look into how that could also be applied to OPM, and maybe also implement the same thing for somebody, let's say, that wants to go from AO1 to an AO2 to an AO3, right? I think a lot of the difference within these requirements are simply just years of service. But aside from years of service, is there anything that the employee is doing to improve on their skills, but while also getting that boost in salary and that change in classification, right? Because right now I think we're generous in the sense that once we've worked as a whatever officer or assistant 1, I just need to stay there for 2 years to get the next level, as opposed to, am I doing anything differently to get to that next level? Does that make sense?
Yes, Senator. So the general answer to your question, Senator Donald, is so I'm not trying to sound arrogant here, but the one attribute I bring to the commission is that I'm an employee of the Northern Marianas College. And one awesome item that has been discussed within the commission is this workforce Pell Grant, right? So I think this is an answer to your question. So it's going to be a strong collaboration, and it will be implemented, I believe, July 1st of this year. So with this collaboration, it's really between the Civil Service Commission, the Northern Marianas College, and also in alignment with NMTech, the other public institution. And so you're talking about workforce Pell paying the education for employees, government employees who want to further their education, maybe earn an associate's degree or some kind of credentials, right? And maybe as a result, right, they get, let's say they're like a program coordinator 1. To be a 2, you need an AE degree in this area, X amount of experience, and to be certified in this particular area. That these courses can be found at either NMTech or at the Northern Marianas College, right? So that is something to, that in itself is really beneficial to us here in the CNMI, because you have federal dollars coming into the CNMI. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I think you know, we can encourage our people to to better themselves professionally, right? But I don't know, is it within OPM's role, and if so, have they done it where professional development is provided to our government employees?
Professional development is provided to our government employees, and this is this is not a knock against the Office of Personal Management. However, I believe from a policymaker standpoint that maybe professional development, that particular policy within our rules and regs has to be updated. And I feel, again, I personally feel that they should be updated with a credential from either NMTech, NMC, or from another accredited institution. And of course, with the assistance of the office members from OPM.
And I hope that's something that you can, if confirmed, can also bring back to the commission. Again, something as basic as phone etiquette, or how to respond to phone calls and to be more professional in that manner. But also just to improve their computer skills and stuff like that. I also wanted to bring up the concern, and maybe my colleagues might bring it up later, but with all that's going on in terms of employee grievances, and I know you've mentioned the lack of administrative hearing officer or a legal counsel, there still needs to be actions taken towards maybe providing employees with more confidence and understanding of the processes of filing their grievance, or submitting concerns within their workplace. I think that like what we said in our meeting in regards to the union bill, is there's something that must have happened for these individuals to say that this is the change we need. And maybe, I'm not blaming civil service or OPM, but maybe there's that disconnect between our government employees and the agency in terms of what the employee rights are, what their rights are, and how to go about handling certain situations. Maybe that's not clear in the employee handbook, or it's not being shared regularly, or there's not enough outreach in that sense. I don't know. That's something that maybe the civil service and OPM can work with. Other than that, like I said, you've always been open and always communicate with us, which I appreciate. And again, any changes to your regs, like what you've just stated, a lot of it has to be updated, and I hope that we can see some updated statutes or maybe even regulations with the civil service. I know that our commissioner for ROTA, just as well as you, have reached out and seeking support to be able to allow our commissioner to attend some of your important meetings, and so we will continue to support in whatever way we can. And so I hope that in moving forward, we can see new changes coming through. But also, before I end, I wanted to remind you to provide a report, maybe, or submit what the cost would be in order to perform some of these requests I've provided. So that's all I have for now, Chair. How are you?
Thank you, Floor Leader. Now I would like to recognize Senator Ron Calvo.
Chairman, thank you. And colleagues, thank you for the Q&As
Put the mic.
Facing this in my civil service workforce today, and that was mentioned in regards to the hiring of, you know, the centric report and the need for hiring the critical hearing officers and your legal counsel. And if I may reflect, me as a special ed teacher in the past and working in education as well, special ed does have, you know, challenges when it comes to related service providers and ensuring that we have a pool of personnel needed. And I can understand that this is part of compliance matters. So it is taken importantly as far as, you know, the suggestions and the recommendations that we do need to figure out a creative financing way to ensure that you have the legal counsel and the people, so you know the caseloads and things, you know, don't get backlogged because it'll become dormant. And you would want also a mediator, someone in charge that is non-biased and that will continue to fulfill the operational needs and you know the caseloads and comply with you know the cases that you guys, increasing the number of the cases, what do you call it, closed. I like the way, you know, that you guys discussed with Senator Manny, Senator Manglonia, and Senator Magofnia, the looking and reflecting upon the civil service policies. Where are we at? Are we still in the 80s, the 90s? You know, what specifically needs to be prioritized and what reforms are needed to be made, because times have changed and finance, like you said, Mr. Munya, finance is critical. We're trying to find creative ways to ensure that you function and we get these grievances and appeals, you know, moving forward, and you know our community at large is going to be happy knowing that you know we're moving along clearly. So thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Munya, for your continued serving on both NMC capacity. I thank you because we've been well acquainted through Northern Marinas College and what you do for the college as well, and helping the workforce. I just, even looking at the NMC written testimony that goes across to share your commitment for serving the community and your expertise. So thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Munya, for your continued service as we look forward to you know, coming up with the decision. And thank you, colleagues. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Calvo. Now I would like to recognize Vice Chair Hofschneider.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Chairman, and buenos dias. Good morning pa todos yung mga gini. Most importantly, si nominee Mr. Ray Munya. Thank you for being here. And also thank you for your services and your commitment since you were appointed in 2018. And then also agreeing to continue services as a commissioner. I also wish to recognize the chair, Mr. Fitio, Director Pangilinan, and Mr. Regis and his staff for being here today. Just quickly, there's been a lot of discussions and exchange, very valid and very critical discussions, to say the least. But as far as the talk about wages, and you mentioned something about case studies and all, but although it's being done by the Society for Human Resources here normally, number one, that's an organization that they often meet. It's unorganized. You also, the prevailing wage study, the Department of Commerce, I believe, takes the lead every so often to determine the wages in the area, to include Guam, to determine wage para workforce needs. Number three is, I was at the Economic Forum yesterday, and I was watching a presentation with the Secretary of Labor, Ms. Leila, on the efforts that she's been doing to ensure that our residents get the opportunity to fill the gaps in terms of the needs in just the general context of the workforce in the CNMI. But in your case, you're more focused on the classified employees of civil service, no? So in your experience and in your view, do you think we should be partnering with these guys more so often? Should be meeting with them so that we can all be singing the same tune in terms of the needs, so that we can probably get to the pointed objective as far as the workforce needs, no, for both the public and the private sector?
Very, very good question, Senator Jute. So the general answer is yes. We need to collaborate, because we want to know what the best practices are with the prevailing wage. Of course, that could be a great guide for us to use in maybe recommending a new salary schedule for the Civil Service Commission, and just for informational purposes for the both Senate, House, and also with the governor's office. So you brought up a really interesting point of view, and yes, we serve our civil service government employees. However, and this is the however I'm going to really strongly emphasize, you brought up the private sector, right? Businesses fuels up the economy, which affects our civil service employees. Let's just be honest, right? So understanding what the business needs are, maybe we could also, there's no other way to say this properly, but maybe knowing what the business needs are can attract some of our civil service government employees to maybe enter the private sector. Because as we know now, right, government is bloated. It's bloated, and the best solution really is not the best solution, but right off the bat, one solution in mind is to increase the employees within the private sector and lessen the employees within our government, so businesses can grow, more money can flow in to our government, and government services. Not that it's gonna be reduced, but maybe just reduce duplication. That's another can of worms that I'm bringing up right now. So the answer to your question is, I firmly believe that a strong collaboration would help the Civil Service Commission and maybe even all those agencies that you had mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Munya. Just especially, it's more prevalent now.
Yes.
Because of the challenges with business activities. And I often say this, and I know that you agree with me, that the healthy business climate, it represents a healthier revenue, taxes paid into the coffers of the government, so we can service the community. Do you agree with that statement?
I wholeheartedly agree with that statement.
Okay. So right now we are seeing headlines that businesses are closing in droves. They're adjusting just to, especially the ones that, because we're still trying, as a government, as a CNMI, and as a community, we're still trying to revamp, and we're hopeful to get back on track with our tourism industry. hence the actions by this body over the last several weeks, including the administration. So we're not paying, or we have a hard time, believe me. Not any one of us here support a 70-hour work pay period for any of our government employees, but that's a representation of the lack of revenue. Now, we've already seen it, at least in my case, in the senatorial district that I'm elected in, that there's quite a few civil service employees that have actually detached from public agency employees and have actually engaged in the private sector that is available there as a result of the DOW footprints. And that's a good thing, because now we relieve a little bit of pressure. That's a good thing for the financial side of the government, but that's also unfortunate because the services for that department is probably diminished. So it compels us as government to include the legislature in the next few weeks here to look at the trajectory of that and try to mitigate the vacuum that is filled. At this juncture right now, there is a push to do it. I think the municipality of Tinian is doing when we're in conjunction with WAO, no? Yeah. They're doing a academy to backfill some of the vacated Department of Public Safety and other first line of defense employees. So that's an indication of the progress. However, it still doesn't answer our question as far as the needs of how to navigate forward with regards to the potential detachment from public service. No, now, do you think is this something? I'm looking at 1780. You're familiar with that, right? So, and but I think some of these provisions in the law, it needs to be updated. I also see that you don't have an oversight on anyone that's working below 40 hours. Is that? It says. Hang on. I'm using the paper. I'm trying to go digital, but I think it's. I'm still trying to. Anyhow, so. Space Azua. I was highlighting it, but I think for the most part, it says the civil service system under page 9. The civil service system, applicability and exemptions. And if I'm reading this once again correctly, on page 10, line 6, it says any position involving intermittent performances which does not require more than 40 hours in any month. So I would like to think that it's far less. I thought it's every pay period, but I stand corrected. But do you feel that it's time to start promoting part-time employment and then maybe work with the private sector to see if they can fill that gap, so provide the proper training from NMTech or NMC for that matter, then start migrating folks over to the private sector or vice versa?
So with regards to part-time, I don't have a definite answer with the employees working part-time. Good question though. I think there are other ways, methods I have in mind to possibly, strong word, possibly transition some of our government employees into the private sector. And if it means I don't know if working part-time is the actual answer, but maybe there are other ways to have a healthy transition from public to private sector.
Maybe not part-time, no, just say full-time, but half of it is private sector, ne?
I'm with that, yes.
So I guess we're trying to navigate or ensure that we keep our people here in the CNMI, number one. Number two is give them a livable wage versus minimum wage so that they can continue getting the income they need to raise their family or to pay their daily needs. So I agree with statements made earlier to have a, it's I wrote a note here. It says livable wage versus minimum wage.
Yeah.
Can you talk along that? I mean, what is your view of that in terms of living here in the CNMI?
Man, that's a very good question, Senator. With wages, right? I mean, it's an absolute lack. I mean, I apologize for this statement here. It's an absolute turnoff to be living here in the CNMI with the wages presented. However, it is absolutely understandable because the economy cannot support the wage that we're living. However, and then to answer that comment, really, despite all of that, the people here still feel this is home and they just see no other place to go but stay here, right? But that does not answer the question. And maybe, with the limited options that we have in place, again, I'm an educator. I really do believe in a well-educated workforce. And, studies have shown that when the economy goes down, the workforce, they try to credential themselves. So this goes back to being a student at either the Northern Marianas College or NMTech. So maybe this weird, dire economic situation is a blessing in disguise because it'll help our public sector employees get credentialed and further on and further their experiential learning, right? And use that in the public sector, or most importantly, I really believe the private sector, because like you said, Senator, right? If we have a strong business, if we have a strong business or businesses here in the CNMI, it translates to a healthy economy and just a better livable wage. So that's my answer. And an educated workforce.
No, but again, we're having a conversation here and
Yes.
discussion because this is a very critical position that you're about to engage again.
Yes.
And it does, although it's government employees again, but everything is connected somehow. I ask this so that our viewing public can also understand your views as far as the trajectory of your plans moving forward along with your colleagues in the commission. So now I'm going to ask a more government side. But maybe this is more on the OPM side. But maybe you can answer because you oversee OPM, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the last salary scale of the government, when did we adopt it again?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Director, but I believe it's somewhere in the 90s.
No,
Oh, 1983.
no, I mean, there's a recent one. It brings us everyone up to the high. Before it was the highest is 45,000. Now it's 65,000. So there's a
The Public Law 1983 was mentioned.
1983. Correct. Thank you. Okay, so that public law, does it really, in terms of the entry level for, let's say, clerk or inspector for the, I'm just throwing this out. I'm not in any way, shape, or form demeaning the position. I'm just saying. So, in your opinion, should we, if it says in the 1983 law, if it says that they're only supposed to pay 17,000 and the legislature allocates 25,000, are you going to follow the 17,000 or you should pay the 25,000?
It's a very good question. So we have to follow the rules and regs within our PSS R&R. So
Correct.
it's 17,000.
Okay, but even if it means that you're paying this individual, and I know it's not below minimum wage probably, and I'm just throwing the number out, but it's basically a preemption of the cost of living here in the CNMI. That is why the legislature approved the bump on that, and it's not out of code. It allows you. to do that. So in the regulation it says this, but notwithstanding a legislation, I mean the regulation, the law says this. Why are we not following that?
So, my best answer, that's a good question, Senator. My best answer is if the employee is by law, if they were to earn 17, so be it. And then if you're allocating 25,000, right, to that position, that leaves an $8,000 lapse, right? Maybe to help supplement that position and maybe to help develop that employee, that extra 8 could be used towards their certification for something higher.
Okay, so now I'm between you and I, we're trying to be that department, which we both are not. You're civil service, I'm in the legislature, but actually the agency head wants that person to be paid that because the legislature adopts that. Why shouldn't we work with that agency to allow for that employee to dial in?
Are you speaking specifically about like an accepted service position?
No,
right?
it's civil service.
Civil
I'm
service.
following the guidelines, the 1983.
So,
I mean, why shouldn't we have our regulation conform with that? Instead of saying let's everybody stay at 17, why don't we adopt a regulation to bump up the minimum payment or the minimum salary of all employees of the government to minimum of 23,000?
So the answer to that question, Senator,
I'm
would
just asking.
yeah,
so.
yeah. The answer to that then would be that's maybe something within our regs that we need to update on, right? So it's something worth considering. You know, if there's money available for a particular position, it's something. It aligns with what Senator Donald had mentioned, right? Maybe the whole salary schedule, like an updated version of that salary schedule, and maybe something that we can update our PSSR and R on.
Because the thing of it is, take a look at this, okay? If you pay somebody 17,000 and then you cut 10 hours, where's that gonna put that person?
Below the minimum wage. Yeah.
Yeah, case that's what I'm trying to say. So, I mean, again, this is our people, and we all want to help our people represent. So, these legislations, these laws are not written in stone. They're not unconstitutional to recommend something that can help our people really. So, we need the guidance of Civil Service Commission (OPM) to work with us so that we can adjust as we go. Hence the statements earlier about working with the society or also the Department of Labor or and any other entity there that actually cares. I mean, direct nexus with ensuring that we get the proper workforce. That we need to service our people. If we look to our left, we look to our right. No one's gonna do it for us. Only us. And I'm glad that you are dialing in on this again because you're part of the team. Even if you're not in the legislature, but you're part of this government to make sure that we stay afloat. It is just it is a painful period for the CNMI, but no one else. We can't be. I want to quote someone that says you can't cry. There's no crying in baseball, But so we need to keep moving forward, and we're doing our part. And I'm confident that you will do your part once give the nod by the committee. But again, I respectfully request that you prioritize in the midst of all the stuff that you guys are going through at civil service. Prioritize the revisiting the salary scale for the Civil Service Commission and allow our people in the entry level the appropriate training so that they can match up to the minimum. And I'm advocating for a minimum of 25,000 at least. Because if you look at it, that gives them the spending power to which they can pass around in the community. The businesses can pay their taxes, so that we just rotate the money in here. Because these are our people that are staying here. They're not be sending the money somewhere else. And I have many other questions, Mr. Munya, and because there's some legislations that we have here floating around to include to potentially provide a solution to what you said earlier, a government that is what you said. You said it earlier. Yeah,
Bloated.
Yeah. Okay. So, but again, they they aim to give them an opportunity to detach from the government, but at the same time make sure that they have income so that they don't go anywhere. They stay here still. Again, I always advocate that we stay here. So one of the other observations that I was listening to yesterday during the economic forum, and which there's a lot of powerful people there that are talking on the panel, is the ability or the inability of us bringing people back. When we asked our folks to go and get the proper education, whether it be through education institution or military training and all, to come back. But those are the challenges that I always hear it for the last several years that I'm here. It's almost rhetorical, but we cannot stop. We just have to keep encouraging. But that coming back for what? Maybe for engineers and draftsmen, and because now you need some experts for the construction works. There's a lot of construction works happening. It's just it's just a matter of time. So revisit the salary scale and see if you guys can consider bumping up first get guidance from the minimum versus livable. Maybe that can help. And then bump up the minimum, the entry, because if you don't, then a lot of us here in the legislature are gonna be forced to bump it up. But we want to get it from you, from your guidance. That's why we created 1780, and we have OPM to provide the guidance. I have other questions, but I don't want to. I want to make sure that I give others a chance. And I don't want to finish it because I have another. I want another meeting with you and your colleagues. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Thank you, Vice Chair of Senator. Recognize Senator Castro.
Thank you again, Chairman, for second round. I just wanted to talk a little bit of what was mentioned by Senator Jude and kind of like share a story of a situation that is kind of similar to what we're facing now. A few years ago, maybe 3 years in to my position as a director at NMC, I had about 3 personnel that were underpaid. And what was always said is now's not the right time, we don't have the funds, this is the regulation. But in assessing what they were doing, the task that they were performing was above and beyond what's on the job description, because things evolve over time. And I see this too in some of our government employees. Like I'll give you an example. When I was in the House and the financial services team was sharing a lot of the process and how they were doing things, they're actually doing multiple functions. The example is we transitioned to Munis, but they're still operating JD Edwards. They still have to, even though their position says they're only doing like maybe clerical, but they're starting to do, be specialized and a lot of tasks that are actually on other job functions. So I could have just, the easy way was to say that's what our regulations say for those 2 employees that worked under me. But I saw the discrepancy in their performance. They were going above and beyond. And, everybody was just, everyone else around was getting, they weren't, I feel like at that time they weren't getting the support, that the compensation that they very much deserve, not only on campus, but peer institutions as well. So the regulations actually allowed a reclassification, And, I did it at that time in my position. And around the other departments were like, you're only, it was, I reclassified it and was able to pick up their salary scale from a $19,000 position to a 40,000 some position. And based on just, if I just said, oh, the rules don't allow it, but actually there's a lot of flexibility in some of our laws to make it happen. They could have said, oh, now's not the time, we don't have the money. But really, when we're talking about a livable wage, there's a lot of ways to make it happen. There's some on our side. There's some work that we need to do on our side in the legislature, if fixing our infrastructure, that can help with a livable wage. We don't have to increase the salary as much, as long as there's certain things like, everybody's buying water. If we fix our water problem, that's gonna take $100 off. But to make this, more focused, I look forward to working with you to see how we can make that happen, because there's a lot of people, whether they're firefighters, police officers, whether they're working in the finance office, in our government, the salary scale that we have right now is not where it needs to be, and they're getting tired and burnt out, especially our first responders. There's people even at Parks and Rec that are going above and beyond. And there's also people that are slacking and just stroll all day, wasting gas and government resources, paying their bills, and but if we're gonna follow the merit system, and we can utilize our regulations to make it work, incentivize people to go out and get their credentials. The amount of money we spend on all the contracts that we have, if we properly train our government employees to do some of that work, we can deviate the money from all these contracts and pay our government employees a livable wage. And I'll give you an example. My dad never finished his school. One thing he always said was, "Di bali i edukasyon ang gintaza respeto." But my dad was able to retire. At that time, CPA supported him and gave him all the credential training. Most of his colleagues, they flew them out to the Philippines and they got certified in certain, they didn't have money to send them to the States, but they sent them to the Philippines. And so things like servicing an aircon, HVAC, those kind of, rather than just contracting it out, if we had our people certified in that, now they can get a higher pay. We can use that savings and give them a salary increase. Painting the road, almost everything in DPW, we contract that out. Other jurisdictions in the states, the county employees are the ones painting the road. I know, in Idaho, you probably have seen that as well. In Oregon, we see it all the time. They don't just contract everything. So the money is there. We just have to figure out a way to make it happen and utilize the regulations that we have, not just OPM, but also maybe some of the, deviate some of that from the other agencies. And I'll give another example. Instead of hiring a $60,000 or $50,000 programmer to do some of the IT work that can be done, we end up issuing out a $500,000 contract, $300,000 contract, when somebody in our government, given the right resources and training and pay, can do that job. We have a lot of people in our government that can do that job. It's just we're not giving them the resources. So I look forward to working with you guys. Actually, I've been meaning to schedule an appointment or a meeting, but we can make this happen. And I thank you again for your service and commitment. But sometimes when we're stuck in a silo, and I'm not saying you guys are stuck in a silo, but in all our government agencies, we're just focused on doing the same thing. It's hard to see the synergy and how we can all help each other. Thank you.
Just one more thing.
Thank you, Senator Castro.
Just one more.
Recognize Senator Snyder.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that we're pressed for time. I do want to just flag this. I think it was Senator Castro that mentioned earlier that I think the budget right now is 70 hours for employees. But a lot of that's only for FTEs. A lot of the all others is very thin, almost nil. So hence the reason for some of the entities that are they becoming creative, to have their own revolving account. And if you notice too, there's a line agency that have announced an increase in fees. Those are all reaction to the need, the need to continue their service. So just kind of talking off of that, and while we're talking about our civil service employees and the total, encompasses the total situation with the CNMI. So just something along that line. So at Tanfan Zi ko sinya, I'm not saying for you guys to do it, but look at how we can mitigate this issue with the lack of funding now, other than the general fund. Do you guys, and I know that the AG's office is an elected office, do you guys get assistance from the AG's office?
No, we don't.
Do you
We've actually made an inquiry to if they could be our, provide legal advice for us, or even being an administrative hearing officer. The answer is it's no, because it's, again, the conflict is government versus government. That's the line that they stand. And maybe it's also recommended that, we have our own independent, independent or an FTE, just away from the AG's office, for both the legal and an administrative hearing officer.
I heard an 80,000 something.
That's just this is without looking, because we have we're gonna meet next week Monday to pass our budget, right? And I'm just throwing a random figure up in the air, but without any consultation from the Civil Service Commission and the Office of Personnel Management. It's just a random figure that came into mind.
Okay, because the reason why it's actually timely.
Mm-hmm.
And please, let's work closely with the legislature, at least the Senate.
Yes.
To try and see how far we can get to the desired, because we really need to address some of these.
Oh yes.
Administratively, before it gets to the higher threshold. And I want to get into this other legislation that is before the Senate now, but I'm gonna have to buy you lunch, and I don't want to do that today. So, Mr. Chairman, I yield my time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Munya. Yeah.
Thank you, Vice Senator. And Mr. Munya, I hope you're not tired. I know this is a very lengthy discussion. I've heard all the members' concern and questions. I'm also, I share the same sentiment. At the same time, I appreciate your continued commitment to serve this capacity, although it's not a paying job. It's just volunteer. Only when you had a meeting, probably you get an amount for that time of the meetings that been conducted by law. So you mentioned in regards to because was mentioned in regards to a limitation. You mentioned earlier that there's no statute of limitation for the cases. Some cases you said went back over many years.
At the moment, there's no statute of limitations from my understanding, because again, just refreshing my memory and rewinding to what I mentioned earlier, before my tenure began in 2018, we closed a case that was 15 years old. Yeah, 15 years old, and the settlement or the payout was, I mean, obviously more than $50,000,
Right.
right? So those are litigations that the seat of my government right now cannot afford, right? So yes, that's that. I mean, I hope that answers your question, Senator.
I think you should, seek legal guidance on this. I think there is a statute of limitation. Even any civil, there's a 6 years limitation on all. So just to be sure, because if it's no statute of limitation, that's even, for me, that's even worse, because you mentioned earlier about liability. So, here we're talking about, and I know that you guys been requesting funding to be able to have a hearing officer, and talking about funding, and if we were to, or any department, and I know it's gonna go, not only the department itself, but even civil service might be involved in any litigation because of unentertained cases that, so like I mentioned, even if it's no statute of limitations, that even worse, because they have the chance to go against, not only go against the victim, will go against the department that they're filing grievance, but as well as going against the civil service for lack of entertainment on their case, and I know that you will justify because of an hearing officer. Is this hearing officer also a legal? Is it a legal counsel?
So
He's a lawyer?
the previous hearing officer that worked for us.
Is a lawyer?
Yes, he's an attorney. He's
okay.
he's an attorney, and when we did the RFP for both the legal counsel and a hearing officer, this legal counsel responded to the two RFPs, one for
Yes.
being our legal counsel and one for being our hearing
Th-
officer.
Thank you for that, and because I'm looking at the record of civil service as what Vice President have mentioned, that I'm seeing 25 cases. You mentioned earlier that it went down to what, 21?
21, correct.
So how long is this hearing officer you guys been, he's been working for the civil service?
So we had that hearing officer, I believe, FY 24 and 25, and the hearing officer helped us close with that hearing officer helped us close. I don't know the exact amount, but quite like several cases. So as these cases are closed, new cases come on board.
Yes.
So
So
and we average again one new case a month.
So I'm just looking at the trying to figure out how is this hearing officer does things with cases, because that hearing officer is getting paid. It's an independent contract, right? 80,000 a year.
The last one I believe was, I forget the exact amount, but I think more than 50.
So because I'm thinking about the volume of work that the hearing is doing, and we lack the resources. So and I know that there's hearing. I know there's hearing officer at labor. Have you ever communicated with labor department to assist in this regards? Because of lack of funding to hire a hearing officer?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. So I'm not aware of, at the moment, I am not aware of the Department of Labor, if they have their own hearing officer. But from experience, we've actually asked the hearing officer from the Department of Public Land if that person can hear our cases. And, the honest answer was they heard one case, made a determination, we made a decision, and they were asking for additional compensation, and it's something we couldn't afford because we just had no resources at that time. So there are hearing officers, but of course, time is money, and they need to be compensated for their time.
Okay, so and I understand that the AG's office, they're responsible for government agencies, including autonomous agencies, to represent. I think it's not bad to reach out to the Attorney General's office and ask for. They have some civil service lawyers that are. I mean, lawyers that are at the agency's office that are in charge with civil service cases. So have this civil service office ever reached out to the agencies for guidance on this?
I know in one I forget the exact case, but this was, I think, 2 years ago, where we had no hearing officer, but an attorney was designated without our knowledge. Keep in mind, without our knowledge, designated to if not hear, but be our representation to one particular case. And I forget the outcome of that particular case, but it was done without our knowledge. And so maybe in a very, very indirect way, they've assisted us, and that's in one particular instance, but we were just not unaware of what case they're representing the appellant on. And that's my best answer to that question.
Just
Senator.
as a suggestion, since you guys lack the resources to to hire a hearing officer and an attorney to give you guys to help you guys with with the cases. I think just a suggestion that try and reach out with the at the agency office if they can if there's any way that they can assist you guys, because the more we wait for the cases, you said almost every month you have new cases coming in. We don't want to keep adding up, and bottom line here is the liability. We might not, none of us wishes to have to get sued, right? And if the department gets sued by the victim, of course it's going to come to us and for payment of those, the lawsuit. It's not coming from your department because you lack the resources to pay, right? So it's going to come to us, and I think to avoid that, I think we should maximize the potential, the availability of what we have right now, and try and seek assistance from the agency's office if they're able to assist the Civil Service Commission in resolving this grievance complaint. And as you mentioned earlier, there's no limitation. I'm looking into the law that there is a statute of limitation. So we have to be. That's why I say you have to seek legal guidance from perhaps the AG, and make this clear to your office that there is statute or there's no statute, because like I said, if there's no statute and the grievance drag on, it will still active, and there's more possibility of getting sued by the victim. So we're trying to avoid that, because the civil service it's created by the Constitution. So the civil service are constitutional protected. So that's why we have to be very careful in this matter, because it's not the same as those political hire or the accepted services are. It's different from civil service. So I understand your side, that you're and your colleagues and OPM are trying their very best to to resolve matters, but lack the resources to hire a hearing officer. But at the same time, I highly suggest that rather than waiting for resources to come in, seek help from the Attorney General's office to guide you guys with the cases, so that we don't have that, or does not burden your department. Because I know that if whatever department that employees is complaining, it will sue that department. At the same time, will come to you guys for the delay of, and I don't know whether you can buy that, or you don't have an hearing officer, but there's an Attorney General's office that have a lot of lawyers that can be able to assist, and there is some civil lawyers there lawyers that are in charge with civil matters. So that's my suggestion for your department to to seek legal guidance on this, because the more we drag this, we don't know whether that will end up in any kind of litigation, and it's going to come to us, and I don't know where the chairman of the fiscal fair will be able to to bring that to us, and or if the lawsuit, if it goes to court and the lawsuit go in favor of the victim, then of course we have to pay for whatever the amount that victim is that requested to whoever representing them. So just to avoid those kind of thing, I think we should seek legal guidance.
So thank you, Senator, for that comment. So I want to clarify my statement earlier. We don't have a legal counsel, but we do provide LSR, so legal services review. If we have a question that needs legal opinion, the Attorney General actually has, they've assisted us with that manner. So just that clarifying statement. So we don't have a legal counsel, but if there's a legal question that we're just unsure of, we go through that route.
Thank you. And I know that it was mentioned in regards to salary adjustment. I think the last one was 7-31, and it was amended by 19-3. So anyway, I know that we have issue with funding, but do you have any plan? Do you have already a plan in the event that we have the resources for salary adjustment on all those departments, most especially law enforcement, that are still underpaid? Because we can see that in the law enforcement side, the police department side, like a lot are quitting their job because of the salary is no longer attractive, and we need our own homeland security here in the Commonwealth, and lacking that, we don't. I see that we might see a more problems in the street because lack of enforcement. So let's try to look into that and see whether you have already a plan of adjustment, just to be ready, just at least to be ready. I'm not saying we're gonna entertain it right away, but at least to be ready that when there is a resource that we can be able to, to make an adjustment, your plan is ready and set to provide to the legislature for any salary adjustment on all those that are underpaid. I don't know whether you guys have that, but I strongly suggest that you should, have that prepared. That, like I said, in the event that we have the resources, it will not take more time to prepare that, because it's already there and presented to the legislature at the time that we have our economy boost up. So it's not bad to just have it prepared and get it ready, so that whoever is the chairman of fiscal fair and ways and means can be able to to receive that at that time. So I understand at this moment we cannot do anything because lack the resources, and again, we always mention about government employees that are bloated with, the government is bloated with employees, and even if we mention nowadays in regards to private sectors, a lot are shutting down, a lot of are reducing employees because of lack of resources. So we don't want to come to this point that it will be I know it's a law, but it's policy, the administration and OPMs, that there will be a rift in the event that we don't have the resources, because it's illegal to continue to have people working and you cannot get paid. But I hope that will not happen in the near future. So again, I appreciate your continued commitment to serve in this capacity, and I know that you're very vocal, and you're looking forward for any improvement in that area, and I appreciate your time, and I know this is a very lengthy, and although it's just volunteer, you accept to receive questions and concern with this committee. And again, I wish you the best with if you're given the blessing with this with the Senate body, I wish you the best, and I continue to ask you to work with your other civic members, and most especially the hardworking OPM director and employees of that department. To see and to see what other issues that can make that department better to our civil service employee. Thank you. And any other members wishes to raise question or concern? Okay. Questions and concern are closed at this time. All public comments are well taken. Let the record reflect that written testimonies, if there's any that are on or rather an oversight on my part that I received written testimony, it will also be recognized and be included in the standing committee recommendation report along with oral testimonies, and will be forwarded before the full Senate members in consideration for confirmation. At this time, before we adjourn, I would like to extend on behalf of the members of this committee our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Governor David M. Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Dennis C. Mendola's representative, Mr. John Paul Regis, Ms. Shai, Ms. Kamatsu, and the appointee, Mr. Raymond M. Munya, and most especially the members of the general public for your participation and involvement during this important public hearing process. And we certainly hope that we continue this dialogue of communication between us, the elected officials, and the public to keep you abreast and informed of the current and future Senate hearings ahead that relates to public best interest. This concludes this public hearing for today. Do I hear a motion for adjournment? There's a motion and was seconded for adjournment. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. This public hearing is now officially adjourned. Thank you.